here on Sunrise Daily, and a number of developments are coming up. One of them you just heard there, reported by our correspondent Gloria Umezioke. I have with me in the studio something that happens to be a very pleasant surprise, because sometimes you just assume that every DIG you see or hear of, whether serving or retired, will be a man. But thankfully, this morning, I have with me in the studio Peace Ibekwe Abdallah. She's retired, a retired Deputy Inspector General of Police. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily this morning.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, I'm sure that you have been not just watching, but also perhaps seeing the papers in the last couple of weeks.
Yes.
A number of them, sometimes the situation of security is so dire, or maybe the many incidences that we see are so many that it just put, you know, Black Weekend, or, you know, just list them. And, you know, one will have to ask, do you get the impression that we are living in even more insecure times, or is this just about it getting even more reported? Which one of them is it to you?
Well, I think, and I continue to state that this is the power of the media, which is very, very good. It is bringing to fore what is occurring. But I must state that statistically, I do believe that these incidents are occurring, grievous in some states, but I think that equally the action, operational actions being taken are having some useful effects. But nevertheless, as they erupt, you have to call out for more attention, for more of the operational strategies to be sustained. And I think that that is what is useful at this time, that the people, through the media, are bringing to fore, this is happening here, this is happening here. It's no longer, you know, Zamfara State. If it's occurring in Zamfara State, if it's not nipped in the bud, it could spill over to neighboring states and to states where you didn't even think it would occur. So I do not perhaps concur that it is more insecurity, more insecure times. It is just that it is once again being brought more to the fore that these incidents are still occurring and need to continue to be addressed.
Well, when we look at Zamfara, I mean, before now, yes, my colleague did report that some northwestern states have suffered quite a bit in the hands of bandits and cattle rustlers and what have you. But, and I know that a lot of attention has been on the northeastern parts of the country. Of course, every state in the country has had its own fair share. Even the Federal Capital Territory seems to be dealing with a bit of kidnapping and, you know, some sort of banditry, some local, you know, banditry here and there. However, you know, when we talk about Boko Haram crisis, for instance, I mean, you're thinking immediately of the northeast. When you also think of cattle rustling, farmer herders crisis, a number of states have suffered major casualties. In Zamfara, right now it's been estimated that at least 11,000 male adults have lost their lives as a result of the crisis in Zamfara state. One will have to ask, what were we looking at as a country? What were the security agencies looking at before we got to that point? Well,
it's like I have said, the security agencies have been there. I don't know, I think it has been forgotten that a few months ago last year, sometime late last year, there was an incident in the same Zamfara, an operational mishap where several officers lost their lives. Clearly indicative that there has been several security operations within that area trying, of course, to actually stem the tide of the insecurity within the state. So I know that at this time the security architecture has been rejigged, and that more activities will be sustained. And also looking at it's not just about the reactive measures being taken. It's evident that it is also being looked at as what could be causing this situation. The mines that have been shut down, that is probably as a result of some interaction, some discussions with the communities to try to figure out what is leading to this. And the two put together would, of course, lead to a more useful, successful situation in stemming it.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that that measure came around, you know, shortly after we also saw some citizens protest as to what was going on in Zamfara State. The question then was, what exactly was the link between the mines and insecurity in Zamfara, especially when you consider that when we look at the security situation there, rarely have we heard that foreign miners, whom we understand are in Zamfara State, have been kidnapped. I'm not saying that they should be kidnapped, but one would have thought that those would be the targets, as we saw, for instance, maybe employees of oil majors in the Niger Delta being targets. One would have thought that those would be the targets, but what we've heard is that the peasants have been more the targets than these people.
Well, you know, for every uprising or every insecurity, you have to look at what could be the cause. Sometimes it could be political. Sometimes it could be battle for land, farmland, land that has economic yields, such as this mining issues. And that's why you would see that it's not about the foreigners, it's not about the kidnap bit. The peasants, the members of the community that are jutting themselves against each other have a reason, and that reason is it's all about these gold mines. It's all about the economic yield. It's all about the scramble for, you know, profit from it, either legally or illegally. And then you also have to look at how are those bandits trying to raise funds to be able to sustain their militancy. And that's when you start seeing kidnapping, looking for ransom, etc. Some of these things are drawn by the need to raise funds for their illegal activities.
Okay, now let us, you know, interrogate even more some of the remedies that have come up as a result of, you know, looking for a solution. Now we understand that there are joint operations being ordered into this. What do you think this will achieve? Because ordinarily one would have thought that by now security agencies would know their limits, they would know their strengths, they would know their weaknesses, they would know where they need help, and that even before the president convenes a security meeting, perhaps they would have had a forum where they can actually talk about, you know, things that are challenging or areas of challenge and look for, you know, areas of joint cooperation so that those things do not erode the confidence that the people have in the Nigerian state.
Well, yes, the joint operations are continuing. This is not the first. It has been, you know, it comes, and if you need to rejig it, if you need to meet and say, and look at what are some of the pluses, what are some of the minuses, how do we move forward to have more success? This is what is happening, and what is very key and useful at this time is that with the new Inspector General, the Acting Inspector General, it's evident that the police has also taken a very primary role. The present joint operation Puff Adder, you can see, is one that is initiated, led, and looking for and using the support, as it should be, of the armed forces. And clearly, these joint operations are very necessary to achieving maximum success. Not just achieving the success, but you also have to sustain it. It's not about, let's move in and for a week everything is fine. You have to look at short-term long-term strategies. And yes, they do sit before, naturally, the media and the Nigerians see the presidential final meeting. The service chiefs and the IG and the National Security Advisor all have already met, have already determined operational plans and strategies to be able to address the situation.
Okay. Let's quickly go to Lagos now and take some questions from my colleagues. Chamberlain?
Well, yes, you know, a couple of days ago, we spoke about some security challenges in Kogi State, Bangana, for instance, and we had the advisor on security to the governor tell us that the police was overwhelmed on the day, so they had to call in the military. We've also seen the police reaching out to the military for aerial support. Now we've seen another joint operation. So I'd like to get your impression. Do you think that we can get results with the policing system as presently constituted?
Yes, I certainly think so. I think and know that with the leadership of the police constitutionally for internal security, as you have said, when there is a situation and it seems that police needs the support, and rightly so, of the armed forces, if it is requested or required, that should be given. And I think together, jointly, the success would always be achieved. I think that at this time, it's all about police and a professional standard that is being, that is being effected at this time, that is necessary to determine these are the issues, this is what we need to do reactively at this time, these are some of the proactive measures we need to take, and this is the sort of support that we need. Once you determine it and get it, I think that security situations should be and could be handled.
Well, actually, I say that with reference to those who have made previous statements saying that we cannot police the country the size of Nigeria centrally, meaning from Abuja. So they were suggesting that we needed to reorganize our police structure such that you don't just have governors who are donating vehicles and donating equipment and it ends there, that there has to be some reorganization. Do you subscribe to that?
Well, when you ask, make the statement reorganization, I think that there are very clear indications and calls, I think, to give it the name, state police. It is not something that I could sit here and say, oh yes, state police must be, state police is not just reorganization, it's a constitutional step. It is something that needs the voice of the people. It is something that goes through the lawmakers, and it is a process. But for what we have now, I know that any state command police commissioner that knows his duties and what the regulation calls for should be able to command and lead the state security, working, of course, hand in hand with the state governor. Now, when it comes to issues of proper funding, well, that is where the issues or the concerns lie. And I imagine that listening to the IG before the National Assembly, it is evident that if what the police is asking for, as per the budgetary demands, that if that is met 100%, that very, very clearly it would help to ensure that that money, even if it's centrally provided, when you look at the budgets, it's actually going down to the state commands, to the last division, last police post, for them to be able to achieve performing their police duties.
As a follow-up to that, when the IG, the acting IG, made that submissions about the challenges the police are facing monetarily speaking, he said that about 20% of the whole sum allocated for the police is what actually gets to the police. You say that if they get the 100%, it will change a lot of things. But will that speak to the concerns in Zamfara State, for instance? Will it speak to the concerns in Kaduna State? Will it speak to the concerns in Kogi State and in so many other states also, including Anambra State recently? You have been CP of Ebonyi State, we understand as well. Will it address those concerns security-wise?
Well, yes, it will, but what is important is that even where the 100% is gotten, there must be that partnership between the people being policed and the police institution. There must be checks and balances. There must be very clearly, once you have a leadership, the state, even starting from the state, if you are given money, then you must be able to do all that you are determined to do to properly police your environment. There must be that partnership between the community that we serve to demand that we give the best practices. So yes, I think that, or I know that you can, if you have the funding, if you have the right leadership, the right followership equally. And then the Nigerian citizens must also be educated to demand the best services, because it is their right. Even with the poor funding, I usually would make the statement that even from the mango tree, as they say, you should be able to work with the community that you serve to give them the best services. Part of the community policing ideology, that if the community understands that these people or these personnel, these police officers are committed and dedicated to giving us our service, but look at where there are problems. There must be that transparency. Look at where they have problems. And if we give them that support, we actually see that they're delivering, then probably you will get more support.
So we did speak to Mr. Godwill Mrakpo just before you came on set, and he's of the opinion that for us to be able to tackle this issue of policing in the country, we must look at the possibility of removing the police item from the exclusive list. Do you think that will help in any way?
Well, that was a legal person speaking. I am thinking that whatever has to be done when it comes to the Constitution, it is until when that is achieved that persons like me, and I imagine, like he said, that any changes constitutionally or any changes that it's the voice of the people, people must be called to contribute to make their positions known. I think that it is at that point in time that persons such as me would be able to speak on that issue.
Madam, you spoke the other time about the partnership with the people, the partnership of the police with the people. It'll seem like for a while the trust quotient between the police and the people, or the trust of the people in the police, seems to have been eroded over the years. People are largely reluctant to go to the police to give information for one reason or another. Sometimes they're afraid that they would become the culprits just simply by giving information to the police. How can we restore this trust quotient so that we can make our security better? I mean, someone mentioned the other time that security is largely, well, crime is largely local.
Well, you are right. The confidence, the trust has been eroded over the years. It remains an uphill task trying to get the Nigerian community to actually believe that, you know, out of the number that is bringing this erosion of confidence may not be as high as they imagine. There are very committed and dedicated police officers, but the work has to be done by the police. It has to be an internal attitudinal change that has to be done and achieved by the Nigeria police before you actually come out to the community, so that as you speak, this is what I'm going to do for you. You have to walk that talk. It has to be seen. A lot of Nigerians run to the police. They have come, we have a problem, this is that, very basic. And when you are told that, Madam, you have to bring money to fuel the car for us to even respond to the problem, it becomes an issue. But then again, a lot of Nigerians would also tell you that sometimes they wonder, how do police personnel even respond to their situations? Because sometimes you find that police officers, some that are very dedicated, even use their own personal vehicles and other logistics to be able to sort out a problem. So I think that it's a work that has to be done together. We have to tell ourselves that, you know, we need our police. We need to trust these people. We need to demand that they give us our service. And then internally, with the right leadership, I think the present Inspector General of Police is also trying to ensure that, and I think nationally, the community policing ideology is one that there is that active step being taken, that ideology is taken down to the last local area. But you have to eat an elephant bit by bit. It has to take, you have to take those small steps, and it has to become immediate. There should be, the police must take that decision that, listen, even if it's that you come to the police station and we respond to you immediately, the first step must be taken by the police.
Well, security definitely is the elephant. We hope that it will not be the elephant in the room. People will be free to talk about it, and solutions will be found to the problem. But we have to thank you most kindly for coming on Sunrise Today this morning, and hopefully we get to see more of you.
Thank you.
Peace Ibekwe Abdullah is a retired Deputy Inspector General of Police. She's been speaking to us here in our studios in Abuja.